Good morning. So we are going to start talking about photosynthesis. So let me pull that PowerPoint up. All right. So photosynthesis, you've probably talked about this before. I think seventh grade is the last time that you kind of learn about it, but obviously we'll go a little bit more in depth with all of the process than you probably did in seventh grade. But you should have some familiar knowledge, which definitely does help. All right, so basically, this converts sunlight energy into chemical energy. That's like our whole goal. Just like for cellular respiration, we talked about how glucose is broken down and that turns into energy that our body can use, right? So, photosynthesis is going to convert sunlight energy into chemical energy. All right, why is photosynthesis important? It does several things. It's going to form glucose, which is necessary for cellular respiration. What's our first step of cellular respiration? Glycolysis, right? So you need glucose put in so that you can then break down the glucose and continue on with the whole process and end up getting ATP, the energy that we could use. It forms the source of oxygen. Animals breathe for aerobic respiration. So, you've always heard like animals, plants give us oxygen, and that is true. So they're creating the source of oxygen for us to breathe, for other animals to breathe. And obviously, aerobic respiration is that oxygen needing one. So it's going to be the one that actually uses oxygen. It's going to be way more efficient than anaerobic. And it removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to use in formation of cellular structures. So we breathe out the carbon dioxide, and the plants are going to take it in and remove it from the atmosphere. All right, so let's look at our formulas here. We have glucose plus oxygen. So remember, we put glucose in when we were talking about respiration because it needs it to start breaking it down and then to create our ATP. But we're also going to get our carbon dioxide and water. And then photosynthesis, same things. These are all included in the next equation, but they're in different spots now. So I would definitely make a note card, write these in your notes, figure out some way to remember them. But photosynthesis, it's going to take in the carbon dioxide, it's going to take in the water, and then it's going to create glucose and oxygen. So just like we talked about, we're going to breathe the oxygen that it creates, and we eat these plants and get that glucose so that we can use that to make energy. All right, so carbon dioxide and water are the reactants. Reactants are always on the left side. And glucose and oxygen are the products. Products are on the right side of the equation. So if I ever said, what are the two reactants in this? You would know left side, okay, carbon dioxide and water. Products, glucose and oxygen. And chlorophyll is the necessary pigment that is required to run this reaction. So chlorophyll, you've probably heard that word before, right? You talk about it like just in normal life, I feel like sometimes, but it's a pigment. We say that it looks green because it reflects the green and yellow wavelengths. And so chlorophyll is necessary for all this to take place. Okay, so light energy is needed, and chlorophyll A, B, and accessory pigments are needed. So obviously we've got to put light in to start this. We need the pigment. We need that chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and accessories because they absorb different wavelengths of light. And we need our raw material. So you got to put those two reactants in. The carbon dioxide and the water have to go into the equation. And then another enzyme. Last time we talked about NADH in cellular respiration, and that is kind of like the taxi cab. Remember how it transported the hydrogens down to the electron transport chain? This is a similar, but now we have NADP, and it's going to act as our taxi cab. All right, so let's talk about what the leaf looks like. So cross-section of a leaf, we have the palisade layer and the spongy layer. The palisade layer is much more organized, and there's chloroplasts on on both of these layers. So those little black dots are the chloroplasts. The palisade layer has way more chloroplasts than the spongy layer, and that is going to be because it's going to face up toward the sun. So leaves have more chloroplasts on top, on the top surface because that's the sun side. All right, so the stomata, is the leaf mouth, and this allows for gas exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, right? We're getting rid of one here and taking in the other because one is on the product side, one is on the reactant side. All right, so two guard cells, see them right there, the two guard cells are going to come together and create the stomata to allow for the gas exchange. All right, then we've got a chloroplast. The stroma is here, this space. Then we have thylakoids, which are each individual little pancake looking thing here. And then we have the granum, which is a stack of pancakes. They're not actually pancakes, obviously. I just feel like that helps me remember. Last year, I made green pancakes. I don't think we're going to get to do that this year just because of the whole, COVID thing. But so think about thylakoids. You have one, each individual one, and then granum is the whole stack of these. Pretty cool. Inside the chloroplast, you have sac-like membranes called thylakoids. They contain chlorophyll and accessory pigments. So that individual little pancake contains chlorophyll and other pigments. You have stacks of thylakoids. Those are the grana or granum, and those are going to be our stacks of thylakoids. And then you have stroma, which is the fluid-filled space. So kind of like the cytoplasm was in our cell, it kind of gives me the same vibe, right? So stroma is that fluid-filled space around the thylakoids, around the grana. All right, so what is the photosynthetic equation? This would be a good place to pause and go ahead and think. Do you know the difference between the cellular respiration equation and the photosynthetic equation? So think about which ones are on the left, which ones are on the right. What is the name of the leaf mouth? Give me a second. What is the name of the fluid-filled space in the chloroplast? And where is the chloroplast in the chlorophyll located? All right, so stages of photosynthesis, we have light reactions. This is going to occur in the thylakoid. So just like cellular respiration, how we had these different steps and different stages, and they occurred in different places, right? We started in the cytoplasm, then moved to the mitochondria for aerobic. So make sure we know the same things about this. So first stage is light reactions and occurs in the thylakoid. And then you have the Calvin cycle or dark reactions, and that's going to occur in the stroma. All right, so light reactions overview. Photons or light particles are absorbed in the thylakoid. So the thylakoid, the little pancake, is going to absorb photons. Photons are the light particles. So where is that coming from? Obviously, it's coming from the sun. All right, so electrons get excited. They're like, what's happening? Look at all this energy, all this light. And then water is going to split apart. So you have H2O, it's going to be split apart. And right now, carbon dioxide is not involved. But this is going to form ATP. All right, so reactants are going to be the chlorophyll A and B. So reactants go on the left side, right? So things that we're putting in, chlorophyll A and B, accessory pigments, light energy, water, and that NADP, that enzyme that's acting as our taxi cab. So ATP is formed during the light reactions. All right, so light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll. Where did we say the chlorophyll is? In the thylakoids, right? So absorbed there. The electrons in chlorophyll become excited, or like they just have higher energy. I just realized that I am in the middle of the screen. And H2O is going to split apart to replace excited electrons. So H2O breaks apart, and now we're going to have 2H and 1O. So no longer water, but just 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. 6 molecules of water total are split apart. So we're going to get 12 H's because 2 times 6. And then we're going to get 6 oxygens are released into the air. All right. The next step is NADP is going to pick up excited electrons and transport them across the thylakoid membrane into the stroma, that fluid-filled space, right? So NADP picks up those really excited electrons and transports them out of the thylakoid. So NADP Grab is on the H, and now we have NADPH, just like in cellular respiration where it grabbed those H's and took them to the electron transport chain. So the 6 waters are split apart, and now we have 12 NADPH formed. Okay, so in our last steps, those waters split apart. We were left with 12 H's. So NADP is going to come along and grab each one of those H's, and we'll end up having 12 NADPH. All right, so this is a lot of stuff on here. We're not going to go through every step on here. I feel like it's more complicated, but 12 NADPH moves across the thylakoid membrane into the stroma and creates 12 ATP. So when that enzyme taxicabs those H's across the thylakoid membrane, we're going to get 12 ATP. We know that anaerobic respiration only creates 2, and aerobic respiration creates 36, which 12 is somewhere in the middle. So this isn't an inefficient process because we are going to get 12 ATP from the light reactions. So our products of the light reactions, we're going to get 6 oxygen molecules released into the air via the stomata. Okay, so when the water split, NADP is going to pick up those hydrogens, but there were 6 O's left, right? So those oxygen molecules are released. And then we're going to have 12 NADPH and 12 ATP, and these are going to go to the stroma for the Calvin cycle. Okay, so the 12 NADPH and the 12 ATP that were created in the light reactions are going to move into the next step, which is called the Calvin cycle or the dark reactions. All right, so think about these things. What is the photosynthetic equation or photosynthesis equation? What is the term for the opening in the bottom of the leaf? And what gases move through this opening? What are the structures in the leaf that contain the chlorophyll? And what is the fluid-filled space in the chloroplast? These are good ways to check yourself. I will be available. Just email me if you want to talk about this. We'll go over it again probably on Thursday. But I just wanted to give you the option to watch this multiple times instead of just hearing it the one time in class. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you later. Bye.